morning, everyone, and welcome to the Kent County Board of Electrical Examiners. The agenda today is pretty short, but we'll get through it. First of all, we did not have a meeting in July, and that fell, I believe, on the 4th, which was part of the reason why we didn't do it. Also, here again, there weren't many things to discuss. So the minutes that you have to review are from May 2nd. So take some time to read over that. It's been a while since we had our last meeting, and it may trigger some thoughts that we need to discuss today. Oh, yeah, if we could do a roll call while we're here. And I'll start. My name's Brian Foreman, work with Kent County Planning and Zoning.
Bill Baldwin, Electric Board member.
Victor Shepard, Ward member.
Oh, Beth Green, clerk.
Bill Mackey, Planning and Zoning.
Mike O'Neill, Planning and Zoning.
Greg Busick, MDIA. Brian, see these minutes? I got two agendas. There we go.
That's what I got mentioned.
You got two, guys.
I guess before we move on, I know you're going to adopt the minutes, but before you adopt the minutes, in reading them, I was curious if there's like an update from the Mulek meeting. I know some of you all attended. Any news that you all want to talk about? I don't know what was on their agenda. May 22nd, so some time ago.
Yeah, and they sent minutes from that, and to be honest with you, I can't remember what was on it.
So certainly wasn't anything shocking.
No, a lot of times their meetings are a bit redundant.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Bill, have you received anything from them? From Mulek?
I don't think he heard you.
Did you receive anything from Mulek? From this, the email that was sent out to add us to that?
I'm on their email, but I
Okay.
can't honestly say that I did or I didn't. I think I did.
Okay. I don't recall receiving anything outside of what you sent me.
Okay,
So I'm just curious about that.
try it again.
The Queen Anne's adopt the new codes.
Today.
Oh, wow.
Today's August 1st, right?
Yes, it is.
Today, it says July 1st.
Okay.
Go back to one code book, huh?
Mm-hmm. About that. As far as finding materials that you need for the new code, I've heard everybody's able to get everything they need from ED. So, people are telling you that they can't get it for you, somebody can get it.
motion to adopt the minutes?
A motion?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, the main topic for discussion is the, rooftop solar permits are now being fast-tracked through the state. And, it also includes a new, process through a website that, we're not real familiar with yet. We haven't had any of the applications come in, but it's, basically I guess the goal of the state is to have all rooftop solar be, approved faster than they have been. Is that the gist of it?
Absolutely.
I mean,
If you have everything you need and it's done correctly and your details are right, it approves it like live right then and there. So you get a permit when you're done applying.
right. And,
How do we
And
do plan review on that?
I couldn't
Craig's
hear.
question was, how does he do plan review for that?
Right, so
That-
basically AI with this program will do plan review. We won't be doing plan review anymore. You'll just be doing inspections. And we did.
Solar?
Correct. Only rooftop solar residential.
AI is gonna do the
I
plan review?
believe that's how it works. I think so.
Whose
It's a-
program is that?
It was developed by the federal government. I think HUD was the developer, so there's no cost to it. So that's kind of why the legislature wanted to adopt that, so. And it checks for all the fire codes and everything else, so.
Who runs it?
I think it's HUD, but I'm not 100% sure of that, but yeah. So it's not,
So they run it through
it's
the
not-
program and then it gives you a printout of this is A-OK and then they come in to get their permit and then their permit's
Actually,
issued.
it issues the permit, so they get the permit directly from it. And so the goal of the state is to have everyone integrated into their permit system, but we know we can't do that, so we're just gonna have parallel processing. That's my approach. We don't have to implement it till August 2025, so we have a year, but I know we're not gonna be able to integrate it into HDE. So we're just gonna have a parallel process just for rooftop residential solar within the limits of that program. People will apply online directly to the program, they'll get issued a permit, we'll get an email saying it was issued, and then we'll let you know, hey, today this got issued, and then what we'd like to do is when they call for a permit, if we can handle it under electrical permits, and you basically do an electrical/building inspection and charge for the both of them. That make sense? You can think about it. We have a year to figure out if that works.
I'm about to thinking about this.
Yeah. Because we pay for your building inspection by the permit fee we collect. This system uses a financial software called Stripe, which we don't have, and which it will be very difficult for us to integrate. So my plan, and this is really in the planning stage only, is when we get a little closer, is to go to county commissioners and ask permission to not charge a fee for rooftop solar on residential that uses this program, so we don't have to try to integrate a credit card system into our financial system, which isn't going to work.
How do
So-
they pay for their permit from Kent County then?
Right now, they just pay for it with a check or,
It would just
Cash.
stay that way.
huh?
So they would get a permit from the state issued to them, and then they bring that to Kent County, and then you guys have to issue a Kent County building permit?
No, it is the one issued by that program is the permit. What we'll do is when we get the email, we have to kind of work this out. My idea is when we get the email, then Kathy or Beth will pull up a permit and just kind of put in there the number from the state and say this permit issued by Solar App, and then it'll go into our system and we'll just have a record. It'll get a permit number by us internally for us, but basically it'll be run off the software permitting. So I'm sure we'll get training, I'm sure there'll be more information. I know MDA is gonna do stuff, so I'll
Does
have
the
a
county
better
collect
idea
fees
when we know
from the
more.
state? Does the county collect fees from the state, or?
No, so you have to use this Stripe credit card program in order to collect a fee. So that's why I'm thinking, scratch the fee, because that way we don't have to integrate Stripe into our financial network. we could just not charge for that one permit and then make sure that you get paid for your inspection by having a special electrical/building inspection fee for only those rooftop solar. So that's how we would get your fee to you. But again, this is all totally like, my transitional plan, having a rough idea of what's happening. Like I said, the state's gonna certainly put out more information, more explanation. We'll download the program, we'll see how it works. We've got some time to fiddle. But I think that's my rough working estimate about how we can accomplish the goals of the state without having to reprogram our entire financial and building permit system, because they're not really reprogrammable. HTE is a green screen 1980s program, so I don't think we're integrating that.
So our idea though, Beth and Kathy, will take that information from the state and put it into our system so it generates a permit.
So we
number
have
still can be
right,
tracked. I
yeah,
got you.
so we've got a record of it, but they'll get a permit online.
And basically, you'll do
Sound
a
good.
electrical inspection for the, I guess, after it's been installed. Is that, how do you typically inspect the solar?
You look at the whole electrical portion of it, but the building portion of it is actually visually looking at the panels on the roof and making sure those fire lanes are where they're supposed to be, if the panels themselves are where they're supposed to be. I
Right.
mean, there's two sides to that inspection, for sure.
I knew there was two, that you had to do that, so, and we will get a copy of whatever got issued, so there will be, plans that they submitted that will have copies. I mean, you'll have something to inspect against. We just internally need to figure out a new way to generate the revenue to pay you.
What if we did that?
Well, I
This is
mean, like, the
electrical
county
inspection.
needs some sort of revenue as well. I mean, Beth and Kathleen are gonna be doing work to put this stuff together. I mean,
From my point of view, permits is it's not really a revenue source, right? I believe we bring in somewhere around 100,000 grand in all permit fees, and our budget is 1.1 million, so we're not recovering costs. So, to me, and I mean, this is a county commissioner's call, not my call, but my recommendation would be, instead of trying to have IT integrate a 21st century web-based financial application into our 1980s software, that we just, it'll cost a lot less for us not to collect a fee than for the probably hundreds and hundreds of hours of IT's labor and possibly no outcome, so. But that's where I am now, we got a year, so.
Victor, when you guys do solar, do you do any of the permit applications, or do you leave that up to the homeowner?
That's all done through Sunrise, so I don't mess with it.
Okay.
Find that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm sure they're aware of the new regulation that's coming through.
And they, we're not doing a whole lot of residential. Solar's not really pushing that
you
direction.
mentioned it was just for rooftop. What if the residential ground mount doesn't include that?
Nope.
Right now, it's just all rooftop.
Mm-hmm.
And commercial rooftop is excluded as well?
Correct.
Okay.
I wonder what the thought behind not ground mount not being included.
I think it's just, that's what this program does. This program does that, and there've been complaints by the solar industry that counties aren't turning around permits fast enough, so legislature mandated that we use this program, or similar, if there is a
There's
similar.
a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so if our code has pushed forward past the state's regulations, like technically right now, the state says they're on the 2020 until whenever, but we've pushed it to 23. And then you get an approved permit from this program from the state that's drawn to the 2020 specs, for instance, and we're on the 23. Therefore, it doesn't meet our new regulations. It's not as stringent as our regulations.
Right.
What do we do in that scenario?
So, as you're saying this.
Because
so-
so you're saying it's already approved, but it's approved at a lower code cycle.
Do we know when the state's gonna adopt the 2023 code?
And
I thought they, talking to John Bull,
You talk to John Bull and he gives
from
you
what he
this
said, I
stuff.
thought they were gonna implement it.
If you look
when we
online, it says
implemented ours.
2020.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
from
know.
my knowledge, I think it was April 31st
know.
or May 1st was supposed to be the implementation date.
Yeah,
We're allowed to be more restrictive, but
not less.
I guess
Not
we can
less, so-
hope in the year that this takes to happen, the state adopts the new 2023 code.
Well, I think it's a great point, and what I can do is, I'm still working on that sort of almost, at this point, legendary legislation to, combine the boards. I have to review 5 different chapters because it affects everything. I can build in an exemption for solar app that it doesn't have to meet the codes that we've adopted, that that it defaults to whatever the state's at. I can just write that in. I mean, the state's requiring
what
us
we
to
wanna
use that
do, though?
software. I mean, the state is using its power to say, you must use the software, counties, that there is no choice. So I can just exclude it from the code requirements and, say we rely on the state and their program for these approvals.
okay.
Yeah, it's a great question. I like that. I'll grind that in. Yeah, and then we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, the state is taking on the liability.
There's gonna be a discrepancy at some point
Oh, of course.
in what's given to us and what is it, what our rules are.
Right. Well, if you see something that's, it's creating a danger, I think we always have the right to step in and do what we need to do when there's some kind of danger, right? That's always paramount, so.
It's just one of those new things we'll have to figure out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we got a year. I believe the Maryland Energy Administration is going to issue guidance on this and some training and stuff. So I think by the time we get to August, we'll really understand what it's working. I mean, right now, I'm working off sort of an outline from MACO about, what the legislation is. So I'm sure we'll have way more information by the time we
Does that go
actually get
live
there.
For Maryland,
The requirement to use Solar App,
right, to use that solar.
it's August of next year.
Okay,
So
so
we have a year to get it
before
ready.
that even starts
Yeah.
playing into it.
And I believe they're going to even offer funding if you need funding to integrate it into your software, or if you're going to spend money on a vendor doing that, they'll offer money to help with that. So there's a lot of process between now and implementation day. Our problem is just we're confident that it is not integratable into our software. So we knew about this coming 4 months ago, and IT looked into it, and pretty much I think everyone just said, we're not going to be able to do this.
Did the state say why?
The solar industry has complained that counties aren't turning around rooftop solar fast enough.
Do you have any idea how many we process in a year?
I can't keep up.
I,
I imagine it's more than,
I could look it up.
Well, just guesstimate-wise, roughly.
I'd say 5 a month,
5 a month, so 60 a year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did I hear you ready to say Kent County's doing 5 a month on the solar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're
That's pretty good.
coming from all over the place then, right?
Yeah.
A few years ago, it seemed that solar rooftop were the only permits we were getting.
Well, at some point, it's going to taper off. People are going to run out of roofs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those panels that went up 10 years ago need to be
Oh.
replaced.
Okay, all right, well,
Never ends.
rinse, lather, repeat, huh?
Well, I mean, the technology is going so fast that, 300 watt panel 2 years ago is the same panel that's smaller, 550, 600? I
That's
mean, they
amazing.
double every
Wow.
couple years.
Wow. It's like
You're also
computers.
starting to see the community solars starting to hit the areas.
Mhm.
So
We've had a
that's going
couple.
to change a lot of your rooftop systems. You won't need the residential people that,
You're talking about the commercial grade?
where.
Well, I don't know. It depends on the transfer lines of the power company, because like we were discussing this morning, when they put one of those big fields in, they have to build their own substation, which taps right into the grid. So if the transfer lines are there, then yeah, but the more rural areas,
But that's what.
they could still run out.
Yeah, but they're pushing towards that, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
So,
Need a new grid.
See what happens. Yeah. Backed up by the sun.
Are there any other items for discussion that you guys want to kick around while we're here?
I have a question. Have the county commissioners been presented with the thought of making this board a multi-board?
Yep.
They haven't decided yet, or?
No, oh, they like the idea. I just haven't gotten to finishing, I'm halfway through the legislation. we just had a lot of
Yeah.
zoning map and stuff, so, yeah, no, they thought it was a great idea, so. For me, it's one of those things that I keep going back and working on, and then I stop and I go back, because I have to say, I'm a little daunted by it, because this is all subject areas for which I am not an expert, right? Me writing zoning legislation, I love it, it's my favorite thing, been doing it 30 years, but this involves a lot of interrelationships between trades, and, I mean, for me, I'm kind of just concerned that I get it right, so I'm trying to look at a bunch of different models, I'm trying to, kind of go slow, so I can sort of absorb a lot of new information, so it's just taken me a while. I'm sorry about that. I wanted to get it done faster, but it really is outside of my wheelhouse, so I just want to kind of proceed with caution, and I'm probably going to run it by you again, Craig, so. And I'll run it by you guys, too. I mean, whoever is willing to take a look, because it's just, again, I have to amend 5 different chapters in order to make this work, so all of it's just kind of like, for me.
It needs to be done correct,
Yeah.
but we talked about it many, many months ago, and I haven't heard any updates.
I'm sorry,
so
yeah. That's where it is.
I was just wondering where it was.
It's in a pile of like 16 parts in one corner of my desk that I kind of work on and I put it back.
Yeah, like my desk.
You'll have that.
Thanks.
Okay, well, we have a motion to adjourn. I mean, unless there's a pressing issue that somebody wants to.
Motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate your time, that's for sure.